extra examples or more trick problems for number 8 and 9. So first here, we have 4 steps that we've learned as we've kind of been going through these. The first step is we look for a GCF, which on this case, we do have a GCF. 2 goes into both of these values. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 gets divided out. And what's left over when you divide each term by 2? GCF, remember, is a factor, so it always comes to the front. You should be left with x squared minus 16. Now, some people get thrown off because this is not a trinomial. This is a binomial. Only 2 terms. Like, well, it's missing something. What is it missing? The A term, the B term, or the C term? The answer is it's missing the B term. The reason I know that is because there's no x in there. So this is the same thing as 2 times x squared plus 0x minus 16. And so with that, I'm going to go on to step 2. Step 2 is our x method. So x method, I need a times c here, and I need my b value here. Well, let's see. I've changed this, so I have a b, and c over here. My a is 1, so 1 times negative 16 is negative 16. My b is 0. That'll go there. What are factors of negative 16? That's 0. Don't say negative 8 and 8. That's popular. But those would multiply to be negative 64. The actual values are negative 4 and positive 4. Those multiply to be negative 16, but add to be 0. So I go on to step 3. Step 3 is the bottoms up. You take your GCF factor. That's out front. Now I take my a term from here, and I'm going to split the power in half with this a term. So 1x squared, and you split the power in half, so it becomes simply just an x minus 4. And now my second term is x plus 4. Now step 3, we look for bottoms up. Since my a is 1, nothing can simplify. Neither of those simplify. And in that case, you don't have a step 4 other than to check whether or not you got the answer right or wrong. So let me circle up my answer. Now let's check real quick. I'm just going to do the first and the last steps of the FOIL technique. So the first, treat 2 as the first 2 times x is 2x times another x is 2x squared. That's identical. Now let's do the last. 2 counts as not only a first, but the last. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. That one's correct. So we did that right. Now let's try number 9. Number 9 is different. It has 4 terms, and I cannot simplify these. So if you remember from Algebra 2, to do 4 terms, you have to factor it by a technique called grouping. Here's how grouping works. You treat it as like, hey, I'm going to look for GCF in the first group and in the second group. So you're looking for a GCF within 2 different groups. What's the GCF between these 2 terms? Well, 5 goes into both terms, and they also both have at least 2 powers of x. So if I factor out 5x squared, I'm left with 2x here. 5x squared divided by 5x squared is just 1. And then I go over here. This middle symbol always falls down. What number goes into both of these? 7. So negative 14x divided by negative 7 is 2x. And negative 7 divided by negative 7 is positive 1. Now, grouping works only if these 2 parentheses are identical. If they are, the way you get your answer is you take the 2 identical parentheses, 2x plus 1, excuse me, and you say, what is 2x plus 1 multiplying times? Well, here it's multiplying times 5x squared, but here it's multiplying times negative 7. So that is the same thing as this. 2x plus 1 is going to multiply times 5x squared and times negative 7. This would be my answer here. Now let's check to see if this works out right. 2x times 5x squared, that is 10x cubed. And I'll do the last. Positive 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. That is, in fact, correct.